The opening lines of your reflection express a powerful truth many can relate to: sacrificing parts of ourselves in the name of others' happiness, only to find that we are left feeling hollow. The cycle of giving up time, energy, and dreams for others in hopes that it will eventually lead to balance or fulfillment often leads to the opposite. What seems like a noble act of selflessness can, over time, strip us of our essence, leaving us wondering where our own sense of self has gone. When we constantly prioritize others' needs, desires, or expectations over our own, we lose touch with what truly matters to us. We begin to drown in obligations and expectations that aren't aligned with our values or desires. The more we give, the more we feel like a mere shadow of our former selves. The impact isn't just emotional, it reaches into our physical well-being and our sense of purpose. We start to live for the validation and approval of others, to the detriment of our health, happiness, and dreams. In Stoic philosophy, this mirrors the concept of external attachments and how they rob us of our inner peace. Stoics teach us that our happiness cannot be found in external validation or the approval of others. True peace comes from within, from aligning our actions with our values and honoring what truly matters to us. The Stoic idea of self-mastery suggests that while we may interact with and care for others, we cannot lose ourselves in that care. We must draw boundaries and protect our inner sense of dignity and purpose. The toll this sacrifice takes isn't just emotional or mental, it also manifests physically. Stress, burnout, and neglecting our well-being all stem from living at the expense of our own needs. In this state, we are not living authentically, we are performing to meet external expectations. The Stoics would encourage us to ask ourselves, what is worth my energy? What can I give freely without sacrificing my own sense of self? By reconnecting with our core values, setting boundaries, and practicing self-respect, we can shift from a life of constant sacrifice to one of mindful giving. The key is recognizing that our own needs, dreams, and well-being matter as much as anyone else's. When we honor ourselves first, we are in a stronger position to truly support others. The Stoic path offers a way to maintain our inner peace and purpose, no matter how chaotic life may become around us. Self-respect is one of the most powerful forces in your life. It's the silent strength that fuels every decision, every action, and every relationship you engage in. It's the quiet, unshakable knowledge that no matter what happens in the outside world, you are rooted in a deep respect for who you are. This is not the same as ego or pride. It's about honoring your core values, staying true to your principles, and maintaining your integrity in every situation. It's a foundation that allows you to stand firm when life tries to knock you down, a personal boundary that says, "This is who I am, and this is what I will and won't tolerate." Without self-respect, you are left vulnerable to the opinions of others, constantly seeking approval and validation from external sources. But when you have self-respect, you no longer need to search for external affirmations because you already know your worth. The Stoics, ancient philosophers who practiced wisdom, virtue, and self-control, understood the monumental importance of self-respect. They didn't view it as a luxury, but rather as the cornerstone of a meaningful life. Epictetus, one of the most prominent Stoics, often reminded his students that our worth is not determined by the approval or judgment of others. The key to peace of mind is to cultivate a sense of self-respect that is entirely within your control. He believed that when we abandon self-respect, whether it's in relationships, work, or social situations, we allow others to dictate how we should feel about ourselves. This leaves us emotionally at the mercy of other people, external events, and fleeting moments of approval. Self-respect, according to the Stoics, is an internal compass, a steady anchor amidst the stormy seas of life. Without it, you become like a ship without a rudder, drifting aimlessly with the tides of society's expectations. What makes self-respect so transformative is that it changes the way you show up in the world. It's not about looking for outside approval. Instead, it's about knowing, with absolute certainty, that your value is inherent and untouchable by the opinions of others. When you respect yourself, you begin to set healthy boundaries. Boundaries are a clear expression of your self-respect. They say, "I will not allow you to treat me in ways that violate my integrity or my well-being." This doesn't mean being harsh or rigid, It simply means understanding your worth and making sure others recognize and respect it as well. For example, in relationships, when you respect yourself, you don't tolerate manipulation, disrespect, or mistreatment. In the workplace, you advocate for your needs, and you don't settle for being overlooked or undervalued. And even in the most challenging circumstances, when you hold your self-respect in high regard, you can say no to things that don't align with your values, whether that means walking away from a toxic situation or resisting the pressure to please others at the expense of your peace. The Stoics also taught that self-respect is not negotiable. It's something that must be safeguarded at all costs. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, knew that without self-respect, everything else in life loses meaning. He understood that when you compromise your inner integrity, you weaken your ability to live according to your highest potential. Imagine a life where you continually surrender pieces of your dignity for the sake of pleasing others or avoiding discomfort. Eventually, you lose sight of your true self, and what's left is a hollow version of who you could have been. For the Stoics, true freedom comes from aligning your actions with your values and refusing to be swayed by external pressures. In their eyes, self-respect wasn't about arrogance or self-importance. It was a quiet, internal strength that allowed you to navigate the challenges of life with grace and wisdom. One of the most liberating aspects of self-respect is the ability to set boundaries that protect your peace. Boundaries are often misunderstood as rigid walls, but in Stoic philosophy, they are seen as healthy guidelines for maintaining balance and harmony in your life. When you establish boundaries, whether it's saying no to someone's request, taking time for self-care, or prioritizing your needs over the demands of others, you're not being selfish. You're honoring the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. The world often teaches us to prioritize other people's needs and to sacrifice our own comfort for the sake of harmony. But the Stoics remind us that true peace comes from within, not from constantly giving in to external expectations. As Epictetus wisely put it, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In other words, when you respect yourself, you have the power to control how you respond to external situations, which means you can choose to protect your peace even when the world around you is chaotic. The question that often arises when discussing self-respect is, what if others don't like my boundaries? What if they leave me? It's a valid concern, but it's also one that the Stoics would answer with clarity. Anyone who truly values you will respect your boundaries. Anyone who walks away because you're honoring your self-respect was never truly aligned with you to begin with. The Stoics believed that relationships should be rooted in mutual respect, not in people-pleasing or compromise at the expense of one's integrity. So, if someone in your life is upset because you've decided to stand firm in your values or protect your well-being, that's a sign that perhaps that relationship wasn't as supportive as you once thought. True friends, partners, and colleagues will recognize your worth and appreciate the strength it takes to uphold your dignity. To put it simply, self-respect isn't just something you practice now and then. It's a way of life. It's a deep commitment to yourself that you carry with you in every moment, whether you're making decisions, interacting with others, or facing life's challenges. When you honor your self-respect, you establish a foundation of trust, both in yourself and in the world around you. You stop chasing after external validation and instead start living authentically, guided by your inner truth. As the Stoics taught, this is the true path to inner peace and fulfillment. Once you begin to nurture and protect your self-respect, everything else begins to fall into place. Your relationships, your career, and your life will naturally align with your values, and you'll find yourself living in greater harmony with who you truly are. In the end, self-respect is the key to living a life of purpose and integrity. It's not just about how you treat others, it's about how you treat yourself. If you're willing to protect your self-respect, you're choosing a life that is rooted in strength, clarity, and self-awareness. It's about refusing to give up pieces of yourself for the sake of others and instead, living in alignment with your own values and principles. The Stoics knew this well. When you respect yourself, you not only enrich your own life, but you also bring a steady, authentic presence into the lives of those around you. And that is the true power of self-respect. Health, physical, mental, and emotional, isn't just a commodity to be valued when it's convenient. It's the very foundation of your existence, the vessel that allows you to live fully, to pursue your passions, and to contribute meaningfully to the world. And yet, in our modern world, health is often sacrificed in the name of success, ambition, and convenience. We overlook the profound truth that without health, nothing else matters. How can you achieve your dreams, build relationships, or experience joy if your body and mind aren't operating at their best? The Stoics understood this well. For them, health wasn't an afterthought, it was an integral part of living a virtuous, meaningful life. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, saw the body as a sacred vessel, a gift that carries us through this world. They didn't treat the body as something to be neglected or overindulged, but rather as a tool that must be respected and cared for. Marcus Aurelius, in his meditations, often reminded himself that without a healthy body, the mind cannot function effectively. After all, if the vessel is weak or broken, how can the soul, your true essence, be free to pursue wisdom, justice, or virtue? But beyond the physical, the Stoics also knew that mental and emotional health were just as crucial. It's easy to focus solely on our physical health, to obsess over exercise, nutrition, and sleep, but mental well-being is just as vital. Stress, anxiety, and negative emotions aren't just nuisances, they take a toll on your physical health, too. The Stoics understood that an agitated mind could weaken the body, while a peaceful mind could strengthen it. They practiced daily reflection and mindfulness, clearing their minds of unnecessary worries and focusing only on what they could control. They believed that taking care of the mind was just as essential as caring for the body, and the two were intimately connected. In today's fast-paced world, we've come to glorify hustle culture, late nights, endless to-do lists, and sacrificing sleep or nutrition for the sake of productivity. Yet the Stoics would argue that this approach is misguided. They believe that health isn't just about being free of illness, it's about balance. True health is about being in harmony with your body, mind, and spirit, and living in a way that promotes long-term well-being rather than short-term success at the cost of your vitality. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, taught that our health is one of the few things we truly have control over. Sure, we can't control accidents or illnesses that might affect us, but we can control how we care for ourselves. We can control our daily habits, our exercise, our nutrition, and how we manage stress. By treating our bodies and minds with respect, we ensure that we have the strength to face life's challenges and pursue our highest goals. Think about this for a moment. When you neglect your health, whether it's pushing your body to the limit, ignoring your emotional needs, or allowing stress to fester, you're essentially sabotaging your own ability to live a fulfilling life. You might get the job, the money, the recognition, but what good is all that if you're too exhausted or sick to enjoy it? What's the point of achieving your dreams if you're too mentally drained to appreciate them? The Stoics believe that true success is found not in burning yourself out, but in living a balanced, sustainable life. They would tell us that health is not a reward you earn once you've worked hard enough. It's the starting point, the very ground you need to stand on in order to do anything else well. So, how do we protect our health in a world that constantly demands more from us? The Stoics didn't believe in extremes. They believed in moderation. They didn't encourage indulgence, nor did they endorse harsh self-denial. They understood that physical health isn't just about working out, it's about finding a sustainable rhythm in life, eating nutritious foods, getting enough rest, and making time for relaxation. It's about learning to listen to your body, to honor its limits, and to make choices that nurture both your mind and body. When it comes to mental health, the Stoics were equally practical. They believed that the mind could be trained, just like the body, to remain calm, clear, and focused in the face of adversity. They practiced mindfulness through daily reflection, journaling, and meditation, training their minds to let go of worries and focus only on what was within their control. They understood that mental peace is just as vital as physical fitness, and they saw emotional turbulence as an obstacle to a virtuous life. By cultivating an inner peace, they believed we could transcend the chaos of the world and align more fully with our true purpose. This doesn't mean the Stoics were immune to suffering. They knew that life is filled with pain, hardship, and challenges. But they understood that the way we approach suffering is a choice. The Stoic approach to health, both physical and mental, is about building resilience, accepting the things you cannot change, and focusing on what you can control. When you practice this, you begin to develop a sense of strength that goes beyond the surface. You become unshakable in the face of adversity because you know you've built a foundation of health that will support you. Now, think about your life. How often do you put your health on the back burner? How many times have you sacrificed your well-being for the sake of a deadline, a project, or an obligation? In doing so, you may be sabotaging your future. The Stoics would remind us that health is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's the soil in which everything else grows. And just as a tree cannot flourish without the right nutrients, you cannot live fully or achieve your goals without taking care of your body and mind. In essence, taking care of your health is an act of self-respect. It's a recognition that your body is not a machine to be worked to the bone, but a sacred vessel that deserves care, attention, and compassion. It's an acknowledgement that you have the power to create the conditions for a healthy life and that doing so isn't just about yourself, it's about giving the world the best version of you. Because when you are healthy, both in body and mind, you're able to show up fully, to give generously, and to live a life of purpose and impact. So, as the Stoics would ask, what are you doing to honor your health today? What small adjustments can you make to ensure that you are nurturing both your body and your mind? Because, in the end, taking care of your health is not just about living longer, it's about living better, with more strength, more clarity, and more resilience. And that, according to the Stoics, is the true path to a fulfilled, virtuous life. Dreams, those deep-seated desires, the sparks of inspiration that give our lives meaning, are often seen as fragile things, easily dismissed or put aside in the hustle of daily life. How many times have you put your dreams on the back burner, thinking, "I'll get to them later," or told yourself that they're too unrealistic, too far out of reach? In the process, we lose something crucial: our sense of purpose, our drive to live with intention, and the very passion that fuels us through life's challenges. Yet the ancient Stoics, though deeply rooted in reality, didn't dismiss dreams. They believed that our dreams are part of what makes us human, part of what gives life color and direction. The Stoics had a unique perspective on dreams. They weren't about chasing whimsical fantasies or blind ambitions. They were about aligning our desires with our deeper values and purpose. For them, dreams weren't just about achieving external success or gaining recognition. They were about fulfilling the purpose that each individual has in life. The Stoics believed that by staying true to what really matters to us, we can find deeper meaning and live with integrity. Dreams, for them, weren't simply wishful thinking, they were a roadmap, guiding us toward the life we are meant to live. Think about your own dreams. Maybe they've been buried by the weight of practical concerns or sacrificed for the sake of obligations. Or perhaps you've convinced yourself that they're too impossible to reach. Yet, there's a profound truth the Stoics would remind us of. We are all born with the potential to live out our dreams. The pursuit of our dreams is not only an individual journey, it's part of our nature. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher emperor, constantly reflected on the idea that we are all part of a larger whole, a grand design. Our dreams, when aligned with our deeper sense of purpose, are a way of contributing to that whole, of making our mark on the world in a meaningful, lasting way. But here's the catch: for the Stoics, the pursuit of dreams wasn't about clinging to fantasies. It was about cultivating a clear and focused vision, one that is grounded in reality and aligned with virtue. Epictetus taught that it's not our external circumstances, but how we respond to them, that defines us. Similarly, our dreams are not defined by how far-fetched they might seem, but by how deeply we commit to them with integrity, wisdom, and perseverance. Let's be clear. The Stoics didn't tell us to abandon all ambition or to shy away from pursuing our dreams. They believed in pursuing what is noble, what is aligned with our values, and what is truly meaningful. The challenge, however, lies in maintaining a healthy relationship with our dreams. It's easy to get lost in the pursuit of wealth, fame, or status, the external markers of success that seem to promise fulfillment. But the Stoics would remind us that these external accomplishments are not the true measure of a life well lived. True success is found in the pursuit of dreams that align with our core values and contribute to the greater good. So, how do we navigate this balance between dreaming big and staying grounded in reality? The Stoics would tell us to examine our dreams closely, to question whether they serve our highest good, whether they align with our character, and whether they bring us closer to our true selves. For them, dreams were never to be pursued at the expense of virtue, integrity, or wisdom. Instead, the Stoics believed that our dreams should be tools for self-discovery, helping us grow, evolve, and contribute to the world in meaningful ways. Imagine this: you have a dream, a deep, authentic desire that stirs your soul, something that excites you in a way that nothing else does. It's easy to doubt that dream, to let fear and practicality take over. But the Stoic response? Take action. Break it down into small, manageable steps. Ask yourself, what can I control? What is within my reach right now? The Stoics understood that greatness is not achieved in one grand leap, but in the consistent, steady pursuit of what matters most. It's about finding the courage to begin, even when the outcome is uncertain, and trusting that the journey itself will shape us into the people we are meant to be. Moreover, the Stoics would remind us that our dreams are not solely for our own benefit. The pursuit of a meaningful dream is a way of offering something valuable to the world. Whether it's creating art, building a business, teaching others, or simply living a life of integrity, our dreams contribute to the greater good when aligned with virtue. For the Stoics, the ultimate goal wasn't just personal fulfillment. It was the cultivation of wisdom, justice, courage, and self-discipline, virtues that enrich the lives of everyone around us. But the Stoic path also teaches us about detachment. The Stoics didn't believe that we should become overly attached to the outcomes of our dreams. Sure, we should work hard, be committed, and pursue them with integrity. But we should also understand that, in the end, the pursuit itself is what matters most, not the result. Seneca, in his writings, often spoke about the fleeting nature of external achievements, and how we must remain indifferent to the outcomes, focusing instead on how we live, how we grow, and how we serve others in the process. Let's bring this back to you in your own dreams. What are they? Have you put them aside for the sake of practicality? Do you doubt their possibility? The Stoics would challenge you to think about what is truly important to you and then, with courage and discipline, take the steps necessary to bring that dream to life. But don't make the mistake of attaching your entire sense of self-worth to the dream's success or failure. Instead, recognize that the pursuit itself, the alignment of your actions with your values, and the growth you experience along the way, these are the true rewards. In the end, dreams are what give life meaning. They are the fire that drives us, the compass that guides us toward a life of fulfillment and purpose. And if we follow the Stoic path, we learn not to cling desperately to the dream itself, but to use it as a tool for self-improvement, for contributing to the world, and for living with honor and integrity. So ask yourself, what is the dream that has been calling to you, and how can you begin to make it a reality? Because, as the Stoics would say, the journey is the destination, and the life you live while pursuing your dreams is what truly defines your legacy. Values, they are the silent forces that shape every decision, every action, and every relationship in our lives. They are the invisible threads that hold together our sense of who we are, who we aspire to be, and how we navigate the complexities of the world. Yet, how often do we stop to truly examine them? How often do we let the noise of the world drown out the quiet, but powerful voice of our values? The Stoics understood this intimately. For them, values weren't just ideals to aspire to. They were the very foundation of a meaningful, virtuous life. Imagine this: you are faced with a choice, a fork in the road. One path promises immediate rewards, but it requires compromising something you deeply believe in. The other path might not offer instant gratification, but it aligns with your deepest values. What do you do? In that moment, the Stoics would urge you to listen closely to the quiet, steady voice within you, the voice that knows the path of virtue, the path that aligns with your principles. Because for the Stoics, values weren't just abstract concepts. They were the compass that guided every part of their lives, no matter how chaotic or uncertain the world around them became. When we talk about values, We're talking about the fundamental principles that guide our behavior and decisions. Integrity, honesty, courage, justice, wisdom, these are just a few examples. But here's the thing, values aren't something we simply read about or aspire to, they are lived. Every moment, every action is a reflection of the values we hold. The Stoics would challenge us to examine our actions, to ask ourselves, do my choices align with my values? Am I living with integrity, or am I compromising my principles for convenience, approval, or fear? One of the most intriguing aspects of Stoic thought is the idea that our values must be so deeply ingrained in us that they become automatic, even in the face of adversity. Seneca often wrote about how true character is revealed not in times of comfort, but in moments of hardship. It's easy to act in alignment with our values when things are going well, when everything is smooth sailing. But when we're faced with pressure, when the stakes are high, that's when the true test comes. The Stoics believe that a person who truly embodies their values is unshaken by external circumstances. They remain steadfast, grounded in their principles, no matter what. In a world that constantly bombards us with distractions, expectations, and competing demands, it's easy to forget the importance of staying rooted in our values. The pressure to conform, to follow trends, or to seek approval can be overwhelming. But the Stoics would ask, what does it truly mean to live a good life? They would remind us that the essence of a good life isn't found in popularity or external success, but in the unwavering commitment to live according to our values, to act with virtue, and to seek wisdom. For them, living in alignment with one's values was not just a moral duty, it was the path to true peace and fulfillment. Think about the power of values in action. Imagine a person who lives with integrity, who consistently makes decisions that honor their word, who acts with kindness and fairness, regardless of the situation. This person doesn't just talk about their values, they embody them, day in and day out. And here's where the beauty of Stoic thought comes into play. Values aren't something that we only apply when it's convenient or easy. The Stoics teach us that true strength is shown when we stand by our principles, even when it's hard, even when the world is pulling us in 1,000 different directions. Values are also powerful because they act as a filter, guiding us through life's complexities. When faced with difficult decisions, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the variables. But when we have a clear sense of what we stand for, it becomes easier to make choices that are in alignment with who we truly are. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, was known for his daily reflections, where he would remind himself of the virtues he valued most: wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. These values were his guiding light, and they helped him navigate his duties as emperor, no matter how challenging or morally ambiguous they might have been. But here's the catch: values are not just passive ideals, they require active effort to uphold. They demand practice, discipline, and commitment. It's easy to say that we value honesty, for example, but living it every day is another matter. It requires the courage to speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. It means acting with integrity, even when no one is watching. For the Stoics, living by one's values was a form of self-mastery, a way of cultivating inner strength and character that no external force could shake. And then there's the concept of virtue, which the Stoics saw as the highest form of value. Virtue for the Stoics was not just about being good, in a conventional sense. It was about living in accordance with reason, wisdom, and nature. Virtue was the pursuit of excellence in all things, mental, emotional, and physical, and it required constant reflection and growth. The Stoics would remind us that our values are not static. They evolve, they deepen, and they shape us into who we are meant to be. Now let's bring this back to you. What are your values? Are they clear? Are they guiding your actions, or have they become distant ideals that you rarely think about? The Stoics would challenge you to examine the integrity of your values, to ensure they are aligned with your true self, not influenced by societal pressures or fleeting desires. They would ask you, are you living according to your principles? Are your decisions and actions consistent with the person you want to be? Values aren't just something we write down on a piece of paper or recite in a moment of inspiration. They are the heart of who we are. They are the steady beat that guides us through life, through chaos, through uncertainty. When we live in alignment with our values, we live with purpose. When we stray from them, we risk losing our sense of self. The Stoics remind us that our values are our true north. They keep us grounded, they give us direction, and they provide us with the strength to face life's challenges. So, take a moment to reflect on your values. What are they? Are they serving you? Are they guiding you toward the life you want to live? Because as the Stoics would remind us, if we don't define our values, the world will define them for us. Live with intention. Live with integrity. And let your values be the foundation upon which you build your life. Happiness. It's the universal pursuit, the goal everyone seems to chase. But how often do we stop to question what it really means? In a world that promises endless routes to happiness, through success, possessions, relationships, or experiences, it's easy to assume that happiness is something external, something we can attain if only we achieve the right things. But what if true happiness isn't about achieving more, but about being more? What if, as the Stoics believed, happiness is not a fleeting feeling dependent on the outside world, but a lasting state of inner peace and contentment? The Stoics had a radically different perspective on happiness than what we often hear today. For them, happiness wasn't tied to wealth, fame, or pleasure. It wasn't about the next big thing, the next promotion, or the next vacation. In fact, they would argue that true happiness doesn't come from external circumstances at all. Instead, it comes from within, through the cultivation of virtue, self-control, and wisdom. For the Stoics, happiness is found not in what we have, but in how we respond to what we have. At the heart of Stoic thought is the idea that we cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we react. External events, whether good or bad, are beyond our control. But our internal reactions, our judgments, and our responses? That's where our power lies. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, famously taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This idea flips the traditional understanding of happiness on its head. Instead of waiting for life to deliver happiness to us, we are invited to create it within ourselves, regardless of circumstances. This is where the Stoic idea of acceptance comes into play. Imagine living a life where you no longer fight against the inevitable difficulties that come your way. Instead of stressing over things you can't control, you embrace them as part of the natural course of life. You shift your perspective, seeing challenges not as obstacles to happiness, but as opportunities for growth, learning, and virtue. What if your happiness didn't depend on avoiding difficulties, but on how gracefully you met them? For the Stoics, this is the key to true and lasting happiness, acceptance of life as it is, and the ability to respond with wisdom, resilience, and composure. But let's dig deeper. The Stoics didn't just teach us to accept life's hardships. They also emphasized the importance of contentment. In our consumer-driven world, contentment is often dismissed as complacency, as settling for less than we deserve. Yet for the Stoics, contentment wasn't about resignation, it was about appreciating what we already have. They believed that happiness is rooted in appreciating the present moment, in understanding that we don't need more than what we already have to be fulfilled. The very pursuit of external success, the Stoics argued, is often a distraction from true contentment. Take a moment to reflect. How often do we look for happiness in the future? Once I achieve this, once I have that, once I meet the right person. How many times do we believe that happiness is something we'll find later, once the conditions are perfect? The Stoics remind us that happiness is not a distant destination, but a present state of being. It's about being fully engaged in the moment, appreciating what is, without the need for constant striving. The Stoics also teach that happiness is intimately connected to virtue, the practice of living in alignment with one's highest values. Virtue, for the Stoics, was the highest good, and it's through the pursuit of virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline that we find our true source of happiness. It's not about living without struggles or challenges, but about cultivating the strength of character to face them with honor, dignity, and grace. Imagine the happiness of someone who lives with integrity, who makes decisions based on their deepest values, not on what's easy or popular. Imagine the contentment of someone who isn't swayed by external validation, but who is at peace with their own choices and actions. This is the happiness the Stoics envisioned, not one that is dependent on what we have or what we achieve, but one that comes from the purity of living virtuously. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of Stoic happiness is the notion of inner freedom. For the Stoics, true happiness is not bound to the outside world. It is not about accumulating wealth, achieving status, or controlling others. It's about freedom from the tyranny of our desires, our fears, and our attachments. In this sense, happiness is deeply connected to self-mastery. It's about having the freedom to choose how we respond, to live without being enslaved by the need for more, or by the fear of losing what we already have. The Stoics would ask us, how free are you? How much of your happiness depends on external circumstances that are beyond your control? And this is where the Stoic concept of tranquility comes in, a state of inner calm, where we are not disturbed by the ups and downs of life. Tranquility doesn't mean a life without hardship. It means the ability to stay centered in the face of hardship. It's about learning to let go of the things that disturb our peace, whether it's our need for approval, our attachment to outcomes, or our anxiety about the future. For the Stoics, happiness is a state of serene contentment, unshaken by the external world, and deeply rooted in our own character. The beauty of Stoic happiness lies in its sustainability. While external happiness, the kind that comes from material wealth, status, or fleeting pleasures, can be easily lost or taken away, Stoic happiness is invulnerable. It is based on the things that cannot be stolen from us, our thoughts, our values, and our actions. The more we cultivate virtue, wisdom, and inner peace, the more unshakable our happiness becomes. So, what can we take from this? The Stoics offer us a path to happiness that is radically different from the one most of us are taught. Instead of chasing after things outside ourselves, they invite us to look inward, to build a foundation of contentment, virtue, and acceptance. They remind us that happiness isn't something we find, it's something we cultivate through how we respond to life and how we choose to live. In the end, happiness is not a destination, it's a practice. It's the quiet, unwavering peace that comes from living in harmony with your deepest values, the freedom that comes from letting go of external attachments, and the joy that comes from appreciating the moment as it is. The Stoics would challenge us to ask, how can you be happy right now, in this moment, with what you have, and who you are? As we draw this reflection to a close, let's keep one vital truth in mind: your self-respect, health, dreams, values, and happiness. These are the pillars that define you. They are the foundation upon which your life is built. While life will inevitably challenge these pillars and others may push you to compromise them, these are the treasures worth protecting above all else. In a world constantly tugging us in 1,000 different directions, maintaining your focus on what truly matters isn't just an act of strength, it is an act of freedom. Your journey is about reclaiming that power, to choose for yourself, to honor your inner worth, and to protect the very core of who you are. The Stoics understood that true freedom lies not in the ability to control external circumstances, but in mastering our response to them. Staying true to your core values, regardless of the pressures around you, is the ultimate form of liberation. It allows you to live not as a puppet to the whims of others, but as the author of your own life, grounded in purpose and integrity. Thank you for being part of this journey with Stoic Journal today. If this message resonated with you, remember that growth is a continuous process. Dive deeper into these principles by watching one of the other videos we've suggested. And until next time, remember, the greatest task in life is to take care of what's within, your inner peace, your strength, your values. These are the things that truly matter. Keep nurturing them.